So the first thing I want to go over is the materials that we're going to need. I've just gone ahead and lined up all the foam and vinyl that we're going to need for each project. I'm not going to break through as we go, but I just want to give an overall view so you can see what we're going to need. So for the penguin, obviously we've got multiple colors of craft foam, and I will leave the colors that we need on the blog post. Same thing with the reindeer and the little crayon that we have here. So along with the foam, the penguin's going to need 3 colors of vinyl. We've got black, this is like a blush pink, and a white. Our little reindeer has, this is, I believe it's called camel, red, black, white, and then this is just a gold that we're going to use for the top of the ornament. And then the only vinyl we need for the crayon is black, or whatever color you want to use. If you want to use a different color for your crayon, as far as if you don't want to do foam, you could do a different color of that, but these are all foam right here. This one is the easiest one to make. We're going to need a strong grip mat. This is the strong grip mat. This is the purple one. You want to use this for your foam. And then we're also just going to use the standard grip mat for cutting our vinyl. But with your strong grip mat, if your foam doesn't want to stick, you can use painter's tape to help it stick down better. You want to use a brayer to help push down your vinyl and for your foam. Your weeding tools, this is the glue that we're going to use. This is called felt foam. This works really well with foam. You may have to let it dry overnight in some spots, but this works really good. And I would suggest leaving it flat on your surface so that when you get ready to apply everything, you don't have to keep shaking it down because this glue is pretty thick. We've got our weeding tools, your squeegee. We have a small piece of contact paper, a little piece of parchment paper. Foam dots are optional if you'd like to use those. I use them on penguin here. I also used it on the reindeer, on his hands and on his nose and a couple other places, but that's optional. If you'd rather just use glue, you can do that. Did not use any on the little crayon here. We have your fine point blade is going to be used for your vinyl. That's what comes with your Cricut machine. And then this is the knife blade. We're going to be using this for cutting our foam. I did try with the deep cut blade and I tried with the rotary blade and did not get good results. This right here is with the deep cut blade. You can see the little jagged edges on here. That didn't work. And then this right here was with the rotary blade, which just kind of left it chopped up. So that didn't work real well either. So I'm going to be using the knife blade and I'll show you how to swap those out when we get to that point. But I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so these are the 3 SVG designs in the bundle. I've already uploaded them and added them to my screen. What you see on your screen here, one thing that I like to do when I am making a physical project, if I am going to make this again in 6 months, I don't want to have to remember what I used. So a little tip that I do that maybe you guys aren't aware that Cricut has this, I will type out everything that I used. So for this penguin, I can tell you that the back of it I used green foam, the body I used black and white. These are just my little things so that I can remember what I used and the settings that I used. So then after I type this out, I will come up here under operation and I will go down to guide. And what that does is that's going to change it to pink. And that means that this will not cut from your machine. This is just something that you can use to keep notes for yourself. And I do this with all of my projects now. I used to actually type it out because I didn't realize that Cricut had this feature, and I really don't know how long they had this feature. But I saw somebody else do it in a video, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Because I used to type it all out, and then I would hide it over here, so that when I would come back to do my projects, I could just unhide it and see my directions. But this just makes it easier. But I go through and I change all of these to guide. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to work on this little penguin right here. I'm actually going to grab this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy. And I want to come up here and I want to go to File, New Window. And Cricut's going to open a new window for me so I can put him on a different canvas. Click on Canvas. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. All right, and here's a little guy that we just did. I have him measured at 5 inches tall, but this is what I'm going to work on first. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And as you can see, like for my directions, this back part right here is going to be green. His body is going to be black, and it's also going to be white. Those are going to be all cut out of foam. This string right here is red foam. And then the bulbs, we have a light blue, we've got red, green, and yellow. Those are all also out of foam. His hat is red foam, and then we've got this right here is foam. His eyes and the numbers right here, those are black vinyl. pupils are white, his cheeks are going to be like a powder pink, and then these are the settings that I'm going to be using. So the first thing I want to do is I want to ungroup my little penguin here. To make things easier on myself, I want to come through, and the numbers right here, I'm going to go ahead and attach that so those cut together. And I'm going to come through and I'm going to grab his little body right here. Make sure it's not with anything else. And I'm just going to turn that to gray. So it's easier for me to move my elements when I get ready to cut because of this having to cut foam and adhesive vinyl. It just makes it easier. So now we're going to go ahead and make sure that your machine is selected. I'm using the Cricut Maker. Click Make It. All right, so I know that this is going to be cut out of foam. His eyes are going to be cut out of vinyl, so I am going to move my other vinyl elements to this page right here. So we have the numbers. I'm going to click on this, move object, and move this to the white screen. And I need to remember that when I put my vinyl on my mat that this is going to be white and this is going to be black. And this is foam, foam, that's foam, so is that. Scroll through, this is foam. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this, move object. This is the black part of his eyes. And the other part is going to be his cheeks, which I'm going to move right in the middle right here. Move object. And there we go. So now I know that we have white, pink, and this is black. So when I put my vinyl on my mat, this is where I'm going to line it up. I'm actually going to move this over a little bit. So depending on the size of your vinyl pieces that you have, obviously when you go to line it up, you can just keep you can look at your numbers right here on your mat and you'll know where you need to line it up. So this is what you would need for your adhesive vinyl. You would hit continue, and I'm going to cut this on premium vinyl. Now you use whatever is best for your machine. When I cut with adhesive vinyl, the premium vinyl setting seems to work best for me, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on more. Okay, so my fine point blade is already loaded in my mat. I'm going to go ahead and cut my adhesive vinyl, and then we'll come back and we will cut the craft foam. All right, I have my white, pink, and black like I had on my Design Space screen. I'm just going to go ahead and use my brayer to help it adhere to my mat. Move my machine this way a little bit. Get the goodies out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and load my mat in the machine and let it cut. Load the mat. And then I remove my vinyl. I give this tip usually in all the tutorials that I do. When I remove my adhesive vinyl, I take it off of my mat and I leave it upside down. And then I go back in with a pair of scissors and I put a little slit at the top of the vinyl. The reason that I do that is if my vinyl has been cut a certain way, like if there's an angle, or if I just need to remember which way my eyes go or my cheeks go, this way I don't have to worry about it. I already know which way they go, so my brain doesn't have to think so hard. All right, so that's my adhesive vinyl. I'm going to go ahead and move that out of the way, and we're going to cut our craft foam. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut the craft foam. This is going to be white. This is the part of the penguin body that I changed. And then I'm just going to click on his little toes and hit my shift button and grab his nose like this, move object, and I'm going to put it on this mat. Confirm. Okay. Remember when you are cutting your adhesive your foam, you don't want to bring it all the way to the mat on the end because you're going to have your rollers here, and you need to move the little rollers or the star wheels all the way over to the side of your mat, because if you don't, when you go to cut it, it's going to roll over your craft foam and it's going to leave little indentations in there, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through and arrange this. So for craft foam, just like when you search for vinyl, you're going to browse all materials and you're going to type in craft foam. And I use this one right here. Okay. And then I just left it on default pressure. And then you need to come down here and you need to edit your tools. And I'm going to be using the knife blade. This is the one that comes up at the default, and it did not work for me, so I'm going to use the knife blade. Click apply, and it's going to remind you that you need to have it in there. And then you're just going to go ahead and cut it, and then I'll show you how to get it all assembled. All right, so I've gone ahead and gotten all my craft foam lined up where I need it. As I was moving it on the screen, I was placing it on my mat to make it easier. And this is the Strong Grip mat. Make sure you want to line up the pieces that you're moving on your mat. If you decide to put them on different mats, you can watch your numbers on your mat and line them up where they go. Okay, so now we're going to take our brayer and we want to push down on your foam to get it to cut better. And like I said, if it's not sticking well, you can use painter's tape to help hold it down. And before we get started, we need to change out our blade. Okay, so you just need to open this here, take out the complete blade right there. And then this is the knife blade. This gets put right inside, and then you want to lock that in. And again, like I said, make sure your wheels are pushed all the way over to the side. If you leave them here, they're going to leave marks on here and you're going to get indents on your foam. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and load this in. And we'll go ahead and let it cut. You do want to check to make sure that it did cut all the way through, and it did. If it did not cut through and you need to do a second coat or a second run, don't unload your mat, just hit your button and let it cut again. But mine did cut through, so we're going to go ahead and unload this. Okay, so when you take your foam off, depending on how you take it off, if you pull it up, you want to keep in mind which way it's facing, because these the ornaments are layered. It's going to matter which way they're facing. You don't want to get them flipped. I'm actually just going to leave all of my foam on this mat, and I'm going to get my other mat prepared, and we're going to get that cut, and then I'll show you how to assemble everything. And I'm actually going to put these onto this mat so I can get rid of one and just keep the other one. When I'm assembling my projects, I like to keep my phone with a picture or somewhere where I can see what I'm doing. Since I already have made one made, I'm going to go ahead and go off of this so I can remember where everything needs to line up. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and glue this little guy right onto here. This glue can take a little while to dry, but it does hold really well. It gives you time to reposition it if you need to. Okay. I've already gone ahead and weeded my vinyl. Take that little dot out of there. And before I glue it down, I want to make sure it's going to line up good. down here. Be careful not to push your nails into this because it will hold its shape. When you push something in there, you'll get a little indentation. I'm going to go ahead and glue those parts down. I'm also going to use a little dot behind this one. Again, this is personal choice. If you don't want to use the dots, you don't have to. They do have a little bit of dimension to them because they are foam and they're layered on top of each other, but I just think it's cute to add a little dot on there. The glue does dry, and after it dries, if you have any residue left over, like from what you see right here, I just took a little stick with some water on it and wiped it off, and it came right off. Actually, I'm going to do his nose later. Let's go ahead and get his eyes on. He's sitting there. I'm going to go ahead and use my contact paper to pick up my eyes. You probably could use transfer tape if you want to. I wasn't sure how it would work with the foam. I didn't know if it would pull up on it and not release, so that's why I used the contact paper. And we can glue his little nose on here. Do his cheeks. Now let's glue this little thing on here, trying to keep it in line with what you have down here. All right, and then for your dots, I just cut it this way so that it would stay together when I cut my vinyl and then when I weeded it, but you don't have to attach those if you don't want to, because we're going to put them on your different little ornaments. It'll make it easier if you actually cut it apart. Alright, now the colors that you use obviously are up to you. we're gonna go ahead and, I used foam dots for my little numbers here. So for this one, now this would be cute. You can, if you didn't want to use the year, you could do extra ornaments and put somebody's name on there. Alrighty. And there's our little penguin. Okay. And then the little hanger on here, this is baker's twine. Just cut a little piece off. You go right in half, and then cut a little knot, or tie a little knot at the end. Stick it through the hole. And there you go. Okay, I've already cut out all the pieces that I need for my other ornaments. We're going to go ahead and do the crayon first. This one is really simple to do. I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. And as you can see, I took the name, I went ahead and typed out his name, and then I just went ahead and attached all that so that it would cut together. So I'm going to take my contact paper. Go ahead and pick this up. I'm flipping it over because it's contact paper and it doesn't have a strong grip as transfer tape. So sometimes you have to work with it to get it to release from the backing. All right. Go ahead and put, whoop. I've noticed with craft foam that it kind of has a static electricity. It likes to fly, so that's why I use my mat to apply all my vinyl here. So I'm just going to go ahead and push that down. Don't push the back down, the sides down, because it will stick to the mat. So go ahead and bring that up. Okay, I'm going to line this up. Push that down. I did not use any foam dots or any of the dots for this one. This one is all glue. Probably should have glued that down first before we put the vinyl on, but either way it'll get done. Okay, and then push that down. Okay, and let's go ahead and glue these pieces together. Okay. And that's all there is to that one. This one is super simple. Okay. Give it some time to dry, and you have another ornament. There you go. All right, let's go ahead and do the reindeer. All right, these are all the pieces for the reindeer. I already went ahead and weeded all the vinyl here. And we're gonna go ahead and assemble this guy. Now I did, for his antlers and his body and hands, I did cut them in different color browns, but you could absolutely cut them all the same. Just gonna line it up to make sure we have it the right way before I glue anything down. So I'm going to do his little muzzle and ears first. Go ahead and get that lined up. We're going to put his ears on. Do his eyes. Okay, let's go ahead and put his eyes on here. Okay. And I'm going to glue his nose right on here. And I used a foam dot, but that's up to you. You can use just glue if you want to. You can see it on here. I don't know if you can tell. I used 2 little foam dots right on that one. Okay, line that one up. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this guy on here. Again, you want to watch where they go. Make sure you get it lined up right. Okay. Now for this ornament right here, I went ahead and just put a red piece of vinyl right on top of it, and then this topper, and then I added the vinyl to the top of this. But that's up to you. If you wanted to actually slice the Merry Christmas out of here, you could, and then when you apply it, you'll see the black through the back. Let me go ahead and apply this to my ornament. Again, I'm going to stick this on here because it likes to float for some reason. And line that up right on there. Remember to roll back slow so nothing comes off. Now for this one I did use foam dots on him, on the ornament, and I also did them under the hands too, but again, that's up to you. I think I did dots and glue just to make sure that they stuck. And then his hands. With his hands, I actually put foam dots underneath them, but I went back later and glued the top parts down because they weren't laying down as well as I wanted to. So I stuck some little dots on there and went back and glued. You might need to hold that down to get that glue to stick for a little bit. You could put something weighted underneath it or on top of it if you wanted to help it stick better. But this one is another one that would be cute if you wanted to put a name in here and personalize it. And then obviously you need to let it set somewhere to let the glue dry. Alright, there you go, there's your last ornament. It turned out cute. This one here I used a hook on. These little ornaments here, you just pop these right through here. And then it hangs on the tree like that. But there you go, guys. Let me move this out of the way so you can see these. There are our 3 ornaments. I'm a messy crafter, sorry. I leave everything out. There you go. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Reach out to me through our Facebook group if you like. If you make them, I would love to see them. Bring them on over to the Facebook group and show them off. I love seeing what you guys make. But that's it, guys. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have a great day.